Greetings, friends! We're finishing up our last plantings of the season. And actually, next year, I'm going to be doing some land regeneration, soil regeneration here by observing the land Sabbath. And one of my goals as a gardener is to constantly be thinking of how to improve the soil. And as just a tender and keeper of the land, I'm constantly thinking, how can I make everything around me flourish and have a better existence? The soil, the insects, the plants, the animals, and us, but not just us. All of us, everything around me. So that's one of the things that I strive to do here. Well, in these beds right here behind me, we have a number of things growing here. We have some radishes that we have started, some beets, as well as some turnips. But before I started this bed here recently, one of the things that I was doing is just trying to continue to improve the soil here in this bed. So we've had heavy clay here, and this is one of my newer beds. So it was probably one of the areas that has the most clay, except for the bed that we're getting ready to do here after I tell you about this. And one of the things that I had to do is to loosen up the heavy clay. I added sand all over these beds. And like a lot of things that I do here, I did it by hand with just a shovel. This really is a good workout for your forearms and your shoulders using the shovel. So I spread it out by hand. And two of the main reasons why I do a lot of things manually here on the homestead is, one, so that I get exercise in. Make sure that I'm constantly active and participating and getting the exercise in, so I don't have to go somewhere else to get my exercise, that I can get it here. And two, for budgeting reasons. We don't have a whole bunch of fancy tools. We didn't start our homestead with that, but we've gradually tried to improve over time. But once again, here in this project, I did it by hand. So after the sand, I added compost. And it took a number of buckets of both sand and compost from the Gorilla Cart. But that too, I did by hand with a shovel. After that, I added some organic fertilizer, then brought in my mini cultivator and just blended all of that in together. And then after all of that, Sayla and I seeded the beds by hand. And one of the main reasons why we seeded the bed by hand is we have just found that the earthquake seeder that we have been using, it just isn't cutting it. The seeds are all spread out and it doesn't really sow the beds as densely as we would like. We used another seeder and it just has been heavy and bulky. So we're like, I need to get another seeder. And then I wasn't able to start this homestead, started market gardening with all the fancy tools, but gradually over time, we've just tried to gradually improve, as you guys should do as well. So we got a new seeder. Let's go see it. So in here we have a number of things that are still growing, and some of the root crops like the radishes that I planted not too long ago, they're just about ready. Look at there. Look at that one right there. Well, also in here is where I temporarily stuck Lacey there. Good morning.
Good morning.
Stretching, trying to wake up.
Yes.
The Jang cedar that we just got. Super excited about this. Got this from Richard. And Richard is actually a dealer for some of these products. I met him at the Homesteaders of America conference back in the spring. Really super nice guy. I really like dealing with him. So we got the Jang cedar from him, and I'm trying to work out within the budget and everything going on with Richard to get a BCS. So just gradually trying to upgrade as we go along. And for some of you, you may be seeing as we're adding different tools and you're like, man, I wish I had this, I wish I had that. I was in that same boat, just like you, way back when we were starting the homestead and for the past several years, and we've just gradually are trying to improve, getting the various tools, quality tools to help us to do a better job. So talked about trying to upgrade for the seeders. So we have the Jang. Let's open this thing up. Things tape pretty good. Nut up the side, see what's in there. This thing is pretty fancy. Wow, look at there. Looks great. It even matches my shirt. Some people comment from time to time about me wearing yellow shirt all the time. I actually have more than one yellow shirt. I do just happen to wear it on a regular basis, and just happen to wear it today when I'm matching the Jang Cedar. That is also yellow. Alrighty, so doesn't look like there's much assembly required. So there's that part of it. We got the handles right here. Turn those over. Let's see what else we have. There we go. Can you help me out? There we go. Looks like we're ready to use this thing. Generally around here, I'm the main one who does the garden prep, the bed preparation, with working the soil, getting the beds ready to grow things in. And Lacey is the main one that operates the cedars.
Yes, I am.
So, those pieces right there, there are our cedar plates.
Yes, they are the seed plates for it. So, depending on what you're planting, you're going to use a different seed plate for different size seeds and spacing.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and plan to do something like beets. So go ahead and let's go with the roller that would be best for that.
LJ12.
All right, there you go. There's the roller for it.
Pull the pin out. Come on!
Want me to do it?
Here, man, open it.
I'll try. Can I try?
Good job, Sai.
There.
Use those muscles. Let's see the muscle, but actually, see what kind of muscle you got. There you go. You're watering and it's growing.
There. On that side. Oh wait, it went the other way, didn't it?
Maybe like
Oh, it does. And then that goes there.
that goes there. And then you put the pin back. Then you put it.
Attach this back on, fill it up with seed. But before we do that, we gotta get the beds ready. So we got some broad forking to do actually. And you remember some of that bed prep that you saw me doing in that other bed? Well, we gotta do some of that too. So will you help me out with that?
Sure.
And Sarah is actually here too. So we're gonna see if we could just triple team it, just go to town with using broad forks to speed up the process and get the beds ready. With gardening, tarps really can be handy for smothering out weeds and helping to better prep beds. These beds, they were all overgrown before we put the tarp on there. Put the tarp on there and it really did an excellent job of just smothering things out, so that way I can more easily prep this bed and we can start growing things in here again. So I'm just gonna do a bypass with a flame weeder, and then we're gonna come through and then we're gonna prod for it. Alrighty, so that took just a little bit longer than it normally does, mainly because there were some areas where the grass and unwanted plants that had grown in there, even though they were dead and they were brown, they were still longer and taller. So I burned up what I could, and Lacey was raking out and pulling out some of the others. As well as, one of the benefits of taking a flame weeder through these spaces is it also burns up any of the seeds that may have fallen from some of those unwanted plants. So just kind of helps, cleans up and decreases the chances of having weeds, and decreases the weeds pressure in here for when you're growing stuff. So now we are going to Broad Fork just to kind of continue to aerate and loosen up the soil. Now this area, to start off with, is better than the one that I was growing the turnips and beets in. Just has a little bit more organic matter in there, so it's a little bit looser, but there's still some spots where it's pretty hard clay. So you can see that right there. So we're gonna, after we Broad Fork it, we're gonna amend it with some compost, as well as probably some sand in there, just to get some more organic matter in there to loosen up the soil so the plants grow better. But first, it's time for the Broad Fork.
Looks like we're fixing to have a race. That's hard. It's a good thing you chose that one, Mike.
I did that intentionally, but I'm like, oh no, that's gonna be even harder than I thought.
That was like clay.
Alright, so basically, you just kind of stick it in, rock it back and forth. That kind of loosens it. Okay. And you just kind of flip. Okay. Here, back and forth. You definitely can see the difference in the soil quality.
I was gonna ask, don't you want to be in the middle? But now I'm glad I didn't.
Man.
Ta-da! Thank you. What did she get for her prize? You get to learn how to use the seeder! Woo!
Alrighty, did you get your heart rate up a little bit, ladies?
You did.
A little bit of workout there. Alright, let's take a water break.
Sounds good.
Great job for your first time, Sarah. Alrighty, so a couple days have passed since we first started broad forking this bed with Sarah. And yes, I'm wearing a yellow shirt again, yes. But it is a different one. It's my other yellow shirt. So just got back to prepping these beds. And it does take a little bit of time to do some bed prep, especially when you're doing things by hand. Like when I first started, I was using just a Matic, but then gradually over time, we got the broad fork, and then I got the mini cultivator, but it would be even faster if I had a walk-behind BCS tractor with a power harrow attached to it. So that's something that we're working on, and hopefully I can get one of those soon. Won't be necessarily be using it a bunch this year. We plan to use it in the future. So I'll be chatting with Richard about that. Richard, who I mentioned earlier, we got the Jang cedar from, ordered it from him, and he also is a BCS distributor as well. But back when I was just doing a lot of stuff by hand, I did a lot of stuff with this particular shovel right here. And you can tell it did have a point to it, but it's pretty flat right there right now. I can just tell you all the work that this thing has been through. It's been through a lot with me. We've been together a lot. Well, we got our beds prepped here by adding some sand, some compost, and some fertilizer, and blended all that in with the mini cultivator. So we're now ready to use the Jang seeder to see how this baby works with putting our seed in. So hopefully it can alleviate us some time so we don't have to do it by hand like Sandlot was doing it, as you saw us doing it earlier. All right, so you got it all set up?
I think so.
Alrighty, they're looking pretty spiffy. Let's go ahead and put some beets in there, some Baker Creek seed beets, and we're gonna sow those into these beds that we just got ready.
Here we go.
So our seed goes right into here. Just pop that off.
Oops. Here we go.
So as this wheel rolls, and you can turn it, the seeds will come out. You'll see the gears shifting over there, and then the seeds will drop. Like right there, dropping in here.
Right there.
Boom, chocolate. So as it's moving, it's also plowing, make the furrow for the seed to go in. Seed goes in, and then it also covers the soil over top of the seed, planting the seed in. So that machine does it all. Go over that. How's the weight on the Jang seeder? Not too heavy?
No, it's not too heavy. It's nice, especially for our rows that you don't have a bunch of room at the end to turn around. I've used other seeders. One that was way lighter than this, but you had to angle it one way to get the seed to drop, and I've used one that's heavier than this, and it was just a beast to turn around. If you had really long rows, that would be great, but this one seems to be a really good like in between, where it'd be great for long rows, but it's also really good for shorter market garden length rows as well.
So it's built with quality materials. It's metal right there. So it's not just plastic, so that's good. But with also being metal, as Lacey was saying, looks like it's really easy to move. It's not super heavy, so that's good too. So as it's going, the plow there is making a furrow. Seeds are coming out, and then as the seeds drop into the furrow, then it has covered the soil right behind it. So it sows and covers the seed up for you.
Another thing I really like is that the handle is movable, so if you want to be on this side, you can move it over and you can walk beside of it, and you don't have to be like way over here like this with other ones that I've used. It's a lot more comfortable.
So there you have it. She did 3 rows of beets in this 30-inch bed here. All right, so next in this other row, let's go ahead and change out our seeder, put some other seed in. Let's go ahead and try, let's go with turnips in this other bed.
Well, that was super easy. A lot easier than other ones where you gotta turn the whole thing upside down, or you gotta take something off, or you gotta worry about the seeds falling out through a hole.
Just pour it right back in, your excess seed.
That's so awesome. Perfect.
I won't. There it is. Just let it go.
That's so easy. For a second there, I didn't even think anything was coming out. Man, I like that. The only spot I could really feel is if there was a spot that had heavy clay. But a lot of the sand that you saw me adding earlier, that helps loosen up the clay to keep it from binding together and making those clumps. So it just kind of helps the soil be a little bit looser, and just overall better for the plants, better for what we're doing like right now, sowing the seeds. So I definitely would say we recommend the Jang cedar right here. So I'm gonna leave Richard's information in the show notes below. He sells all kind of tools like the Jang, as well as I mentioned earlier the BCS, but he also has other tools as well. So feel free to reach out to Richard.